Hey everybody, welcome back to another week of Beyond Technical. This week has some exciting news going on, or at least for me, in the little Street Fighter community. We've got a tournament downtown this weekend with a bunch of big name players that are going to show up called T12. So I will be attending that. So if you guys see me, come say hi, say what's up. And I'm going to try and get some footage of that for you guys. Maybe some interviews, maybe just some footage of the tournament, hopefully some gameplay. I'm going to bring the camcorder and see what I can do. Now, chances are the audio is going to be shitty, so I hope you guys can bear with me because I'm not going to have, my good old mic with me downtown. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do for next week for that. But for today, this is all being filmed on Friday. The tournament's going to be on Saturday and Sunday. So if you don't know about it yet, come on down, join in, and I believe it will be streamed. If you check the Toronto Top Tiers website, TXII, they should have all the information for the tournament, kind of who's going to be there, what's going on. There's a team tournament, there's a singles tournament. I still don't know all the details. I'm going to try and figure it all out tonight so I can show up and have a good game tomorrow. So it should be fun for a tournament. But in the meanwhile, let me tell you guys a little bit about what I've been doing, and I'm going to field a bit of a question and then go a little bit more in depth on that. But basically, I've been kind of busy, and I really haven't played a whole lot of Street Fighter lately. So I'm super ready for a tournament. And I've just been kind of, every time I do get a chance to play, I just hop online, play some ranked matches, and I haven't really moved up or down too much. I'd say I'm probably today sitting around about a 2,000 player point player at Street Fighter. So those of you above me, maybe there's something I can still tell you. If you're below me, definitely have a few things to learn. But I'd say the biggest thing I'm doing now is I kind of understand the game pretty well. Technically, for a technical perspective, the game makes a whole lot of sense to me. The biggest thing I'm trying to work on is the execution. I'll still make a mistake. I'll still overextend. I'll still do something risky and stupid. Or, I'll try and headbutt on Wake Up when headbutt on Wake Up is pretty much never a good idea. Little things like that. So I'm trying to kind of get my execution down, and that's what I've been working on mostly lately. But today, or this week at least, what I wanted to field for you guys is a question that it's come up a few times, and I haven't really seen really specific coverage on it, and that's specifically the question is, what do I do? What do I do once I get a knockdown? Like, what are my options? So I'm going to cover that. The other thing I'm going to try and cover is, what do I do when I get knocked down? Because that's one that personally I've been trying to get a little better on, because I find I open myself up a lot and I shouldn't. So Street Fighter is a very rock, paper, scissors type game. And the goal is to not play rock, paper, scissors. You want to play rock and paper against their scissors. You want to throw out two options for every one of theirs as often as you can. And sometimes there's just a risk you got to take. That's fighting games. But let's try and show you a little bit of that. So I think the best way to show this off, and I could be really wrong on this, but is probably just hop in training mode. And what I'll try and show you, I'll pick Balrog, but this does apply to every character, is the options you've got on someone's Wake Up for what you can do to them. So I'm just going to pick Balrog because I'm most comfortable with him, and I have a pimp suit, so why not? And we'll punch Dan in the face because it's always great. So characters have their own little character-specific things that you're going to want to figure out, and then as you kind of rank up, you'll realize what special abilities can use as this. But generally, you want to either do nothing. If you think they're going to try and use like a reversal, Shoryuken, something like that, you want to attack them. And if you're going to attack them, there's a bunch of different ways to hit people, and it's called mix-up, because you want to confuse them. You want people to think you're going to hit left and hit right instead. And you want to do this kind of stuff because if they don't block it, opens them up for combo and deals a lot of damage. So I've got myself in training mode here with Dan. Let's just, I guess, knock him down and then try and come up with a few different things. So most important is, if you're gonna do nothing, I try and still play a little bit of a mind game, kind of shuffle around here so they aren't quite sure what you're gonna do. I like the late hop back, because then if they do an uppercut, I can either combo or at least do another sweep and then go for some more knockdown stuff after that. The other thing you can do is safe jumps. Now, safe jumps have specific timing on specific characters with specific attacks. So that's something you've got to learn on your own, because I don't have time to go through every character for you. But safe jumps specifically, I'll show you, Balrog has a really common one. It's all about, you need to get up right as you need to land right as they're standing and with an attack. So either your attack will hit or you'll block. So if someone tries like Wake Up Ultra, and this is where frame data comes into play. If someone tries to Wake Up Ultra, you want to block, but you also want to jump and try and swing at them. So it's called a safe jump because you get to swing, and if they ultra you, you block, or if they punch at you. So that makes it safe, obviously. This is where, or that's why I said frame data gets really important here. If Dan's ultra comes out in 10 frames, but it only takes me 5 frames to recover from my punch to blocking, that makes it safe. So it's just a little bit of math to try and figure it out, but it also comes down to a lot of timing. One jump, that's, at running at 30 frames a second, that might be 60, 70, 80, 90 frames. So when you're working in 3 to 5 frames, it's really specific timing. And it's something that when I first started playing, I thought this was ridiculous. I would bitch and complain all the time. I'd be like, what kind of a game has you do 1 frame links? That's 1/30th of a second. I mean, if you double tap or something, you're going to get, what, 2/30 or like 1/15th? Or you're going to go to, 1/15th would be your best option. So you have 1/15th of a second to figure it out, or 1/30th of a second to figure it out. With a double tap, it doubles your timing. I'm fucking up the math here. Excuse me on that one. So it seemed ridiculous, but the more I play, the more I realize, it's actually not that hard. And there's a lot of different kind of things for leniency. And that's why when you start out, I'm just telling you this specifically so you understand. When you start out, it's insane. It's nuts. When you try and, land a safe jump, you'll go, oh my god, this is so retarded. How does anybody do this all the time? And then you'll play high ranked players and they'll murder you, and you'll just be like, how does this person ever figure this out? And after enough time, you kind of start going, that's not that hard. But I still don't know how they FADC Ultra. That's crazy. And then after you get that, you kind of go, yeah, that's not that hard either. But how do they ever land all these 1-frame links consistently? And you just kind of work your way through the game and level it up. So back to safe jumping and things like that. So if I knock Dan down and he does a Shoryuken, you can test this by having Dan just spam Shoryukens. I'm going to assume you guys know how to use training mode testing. So if I do like a headbutt and Dan's going to fall down, you see I punched a little bit late there, but I would have been safe. The timing is kind of tough because Balrog's headbutt isn't really a phenomenal thing to go off of. So that was a little bit late. Basically, it depends on the height of your character for safe jumping, but I use his jumping overhead punch, like his down, his heavy kick to do it, his down punch, and that is my safe jump punch of choice. That will let you jump in. If I land it, I will punch him, which can then be followed up and do a combo, or a combo that hopefully you land and don't screw up. Or you can go for, or you can just block. So basically, like if I jump and punch this and I do it at the right time and I punch but he ultras, he'll be invincible, so the punch won't hit, but I'll go right into blocking. I'll be safe. So that's a really important option on Wake Up. So you've got do nothing, which is kind of, you want to be a little bit tricky with it. Maybe make them think you're going to do something so that they'll whiff an uppercut or a Shoryuken or something like that. Or you can kind of go in for the safe jump. The other option, and Balrog doesn't have cross-ups, so I'll get into that in a minute, but the other option is to do meaties. So what you do is after you knock somebody down, as they're getting up, you see how I just did that hook elbow? You want to do like a heavy close attack with a lot of active frames, so you hit them right as they get up. And the reason you do that is if they try and push any button at all, a meaty will win, even though it's a big, heavy, slow punch. Like a jab might beat my crouching heavy kick, because my heavy kick takes 5-6 frames to start up, while jab only takes 3. But if you use it as a meaty, which means it's active right as they stand, that meaty will beat them. So you will score another, a hit, a knockdown, or you can just kind of follow that up into a combo or do whatever you want to do. So a trick like someone like Balrog, for example, one trick he has is if you score a knockdown, you kind of play like you're far away, and then you meaty his crouching sweep. So you actually sweep into sweep. And it's just kind of a nice little mind trick because it knocks them down again, and then you can go for a jump. So let's say that I've done a sweep, and then I do another sweep, and then I go for the jump. That's where I'm mixing them up, because now they're thinking, okay, I've got to block low right on rise. And you'd be surprised, but that jump seems like a really big amount of time. But a lot of players, as you kind of mix them up, as you get tricky, they'll fall for it. Even though Balrog doesn't have a cross-up, you can still land opening jump attacks. The better players get, the harder it is to kind of trick them up and get their brain kind of mangled enough that you can get those jumps. But it is important to know that it's there. Now the other option on Wake Up is just plain throw. So you get them down, you act like you might maybe hit them, and then you just tap out a throw real quick. That gets people a lot because they're going to block things. So if you're trying to meaty a lot, and then you go for the throw, it gets them. So that's your basic set of tools, is your throw, meaties, and you can meaty any attack, by the way. You don't have to use a heavy. A lot of times I will go for like a little quick meaty jab, And if you meaty a jab at the right time, it will pull back and it's actually safe. So you can punch a jab and not get altered. The timing's insanely specific though, so be really, really careful with doing that kind of stuff, because they might just be able to wake up throw you or something like that if you don't meaty it properly. And since jabs are so quick, you don't have a lot of time. Whereas with this elbow, it's got a lot more time. That's why people use that as a preferred meaty, because it hits harder and it gives you a lot of open active frames, so it's easier to meaty properly. So those are your basic mix-up tools, is either to punch them, to jump at them, or to throw